Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Everybody, jump in the minivan. We're going to the zoo today. Checking out a Music Zoo exclusive. When I think Music Zoo, I think, hey, that's the shop that has the balls enough to order these crazy custom orders from Gibson, Fender, PRS and stuff. And, actually do these custom orders themselves, so they're on the hook if nobody actually likes their designs. But they've done so many cool limited editions that we'll talk about here in a minute after we first see this one, that I was really happy somebody wanted to New Guitar Day purchase one of these. I mean, technically this is an international forwarding service, which is a subdivision of my New Guitar Day purchases, but let's check this thing out. Starting off, we have the traditional Lifton style Gibson reissue case. But let me tell you, my friends, what is in this thing? It's far from traditional, but it's quirky and I like it. In here, sleeps. Uh-oh. Where's my other pickups, Music Zoo? Where's my toggle switch? Where's my Tune-o-matic stop bar tailpiece? This is a 1958 reissue. That is absolutely stunning in person. The photographs really did this thing absolutely no justice at all, that they've done up in their one-eye monster wrap tail piece version. So, again, we lost the neck pickup, lost the toggle switch. We have like Les Paul Jr. like vibes right here. I mean, that's essentially what this is a humbuckered Les Paul Jr. with a flame maple top. It's a little bit thicker, and you have, R8 historic reissue specs. So that's what this is. And if you think this is crazy, check out what else they've done. So this recent batch of guitars was met with 4 interesting designs, 2 of them with 2 versions. There's this guy. One of them had like more ringage going on and it looked like it had more flame, but now that we've just seen this one in person, it definitely came to life a bit more. There were just 58 reissues with 1 pickup, but they also had a neck pickup only Les Paul Jr. They called it the Les Paul Jr. Rhythm. Fantastic name, guys. But in the past, the Music Zoo, if you ever see a 1 pickup Les Paul custom, which I've documented a Silverburst one before, 9 times out of 10, it came out of Music Zoo. Now, Gibson's also done those for other dealers, but it's Music Zoo that keeps doing them, especially on the reissues and other customs. But they're not just single pickup monstrosities, they also do triple pickup monstrosities. You guys remember the Queen of Clean? That was a Music Zoo exclusive, a 3P90 Les Paul custom made as a tribute to a real one of those done up back in the 50s. They also had a Floyd Rose Humbucker Les Paul Jr. That's crazy. There's that Wrap Tail 3 Humbucker SG Special, and even a 3P90 TV Yellow SG that had no tenon cover, no pick guard. It was one of the weirdest things ever, but you can check both of those out in this Would You Rock or Not episode. So if you're around the New York area, check out Music Zoo. They're a big dealer of all the big name brands. And I always felt they had the best made-to-measure program out there because they're the guys that had a nice online article written about them. Speaking of their articles, they're the reason why I knew so much of the information for the Roswell Rhoads review and demo. So if anything, thank you, Music Zoo, for doing what you do. It's fun to see crazy custom orders. If I was an official Gibson dealer, I'd be doing these exact same types of things. I wasn't sure if I was going to like this so much, but now that I have it in my hands, it's like, oh yeah, I like this. Big, beefy neck. It's an R8. It's supposed to have that. It almost kind of reminds me of those like Les Paul acoustics, but not exactly quite the same. I really love the fact that they went for the wrap tail because a lot of them will have the stop bar tailpiece and ABR1 bridge, but it takes a while for Gibson to make these things. You could always have Music Zoo do you another custom order if you're looking for one of these. But there's always something so liberating about a 1 pickup Les Paul because you've got all this room right here to do your picking. There's nothing in your way. It really influences you to play in a different style. The wrap tailpiece does that as well. So having a high-end Les Paul all stripped down and simplified, it's interesting. It might not be for everybody. There's some guys that love neck pickups. I love them too. But if you want to see another cool one of these, I have the Kazuyoshi Saito prototype review. But what else do we have here? It looks like they've changed the handles on these cases. That doesn't look like it's going to fall off. And they've also returned this. It's like a soft foam. They put that in here so the headstock doesn't, rub against that. That's nice. And that's supposed to keep it up. That used to be a hard foam wedge. That's kind of interesting. It's like a pillow. Other than that, this is the most historically correct one. They only have 1 neck rest. That's why they got to do the other stuff. But we also have a regular COA in here, just billed as a 58 Les Paul standard. Pre-pack checklist, some vintage style hang tags here, all the good custom shop stuff, including your keys. So, to learn a little bit more about this freaky one-eyed beast, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench, take an individual look at its parts and specs before we get to that playing demo. Oh man, I seriously had my work cut out for me tearing this one apart. So many screws. 6. Okay, so our lone humbucker within this guitar is a custom bucker. So you can see our patent applied for decal that kind of got chipped being applied. And then here's what the inside of the cavity looks like. Interestingly enough, it looks like there's a plug in the wood right there. I'd be interested to know what that's about. But something I've always been curious about these one pickup guitars is they do have like a little channel going in right there, like where the neck pickup stuff would normally go out, but I've never had anything small enough to go through there. But now I've got my endoscope, so I think we need to see, is it actually routed for a neck pickup underneath the top? Let's find out. Let's get your final guesses in now. I'm going to guess no. And judging by the look of this, I'm correct. There is some sort of like a single channel cavity route down there, but it does not widen out into a neck pickup. I'm not quite sure what that's there for. Maybe that's just how they pre-route all the bodies before they actually route them for the humbuckers. I'm not sure. But it does not look like we have a neck pickup route hiding under there. I'll be honest, I'm kind of sad that there's not a route under there. I was hoping there'd just be a random chamber. That way if somebody wanted to convert it, they could. They just had to chop the top a little bit. But anyways, let's take a look at our bridge. This is a lightweight aluminum wrap tail piece. You can adjust your intonation using these screws. Is it ever going to be 100% perfect? I guess it depends how good of a setup guy you are. It really just depends if you need absolutely perfect intonation or if you prefer the feel of these wrap tails. I've always found them to feel a little bit slinkier. I mean, it's just something you have to try, see if it's for you or not. But this is a VOS finish, so that means they slightly age all the hardware. You can see this pickup has some aging to it. They've got some like light rusting to the tailpiece studs. And the whole finish, it's got swirls and light scratches all over it. That's part of the VOS job. I had somebody commission a private help session earlier last week that they had bought a VOS guitar used, and they were very confused as to why it had all these scratches. They thought somebody took a paper towel to it. No, that's just what VOS is. You get all those scratches and whatnot. A really good episode to see all those is like, once again, that Adam Jones reissue one. It stands for Vintage Original Spec. Basically, trying to offer you a brand new vintage guitar that's never been played. It's sat in the case for 60 years. It's gonna have some aged patina to it. You can custom order these without that, and they'll just be shiny and brand new, but that's the whole idea behind VOS. It's supposed to feel slightly broken in. But as far as our controls, historic style knobs, master volume, master tone. Let's go ahead and see what our pickup reads. I'm getting 7.85 k ohms within the circuit. But let's take a second to appreciate this finish. I mean, besides the VOS and the whole one-eyed guitar type thing, I love the flame top on this. It's very subdued, but it changes so much at all angles. I didn't know if I was going to like this one looking at the stock photos, because it looked like maybe just one side had a little bit of flame. But now seeing it in person, maybe this was actually the nicer one of the two. I mean, that's nice. And on top of that, the finish is called Factory Burst. I love this finish because it's the perfect style of Heritage Cherry Sunburst, in my opinion. Like, there's some really clowny bursts ones out there, and then there's this one. It almost has like a slight purplish haze to it, on top of the very deep dark red that has a good transition layer. It's never like too in-your-face yellow. I like my burst like this, but bursts age so many different ways. Some guys like the lemons. It all comes down to personal preference. But maple top, mahogany body, non-weight relieved, mahogany neck, big and chunky as we'll see in a minute. But we have a rosewood fretboard with 22 medium jumbo style frets, 12-inch radius, 24 3/4-inch scale length, nothing too crazy going on there. We've got our cellulose style inlays. You can see how they look different than regular acrylic with our nylon nut up here. Well, let's just see how big is this neck. We're at 1.67 inches at the nut and 2.06 by the 12th. First fret neck depth of, oh wow, 0.96. And I would guess that stays pretty consistent. Whoa, 1.05. Yeah. If you want a big baseball bat neck, get yourself an R8 or an R7. Those are the biggest ones you can find. Once you start going into R9 territory, that's when they start to slim down a bit. Then 1960, they get really slim. So if you're a wealthy investor thinking, which 50s burst should I buy? Obviously, I want the 59. That's what everybody wants. Might as well get the best of the best, right? No, it actually comes down to personal preference on what you want the neck to feel like. Here's what that looks like at the 1st and the 12th fret. Super rounded at the 1st fret, but then it does get a little bit wider, but just is rounded in the higher registers of the neck. But here's what our headstock looks like without the truss rod cover on it. The truss rod itself looks like this from the factory, and it's one of those vintage style truss rod covers on it. It's 2-ply, a big white layer, and then kind of a smaller black layer. I love the bevels on these vintage looking ones. Then we've got our Les Paul model silkscreen and our aged over Gibson logo. So this lacquer actually has a slight yellowish tint to it in order to pull that effect off. Since normally reissue style Les Pauls have a neck pickup, one thing I do want to talk about is when you don't have it, you can actually feel, like, you know how sometimes around here your finish looks a little bit weird because, you know, the top just kind of falls into the neck? You get that same phenomenon around here where a pickup ring would normally be, because these guys have dish carves, right? It's not a flat top. It goes zoop. So actually right here, it's falling away because it's this part that's raised, and it just kind of feels weird. I'm sure a lot of people look at these and go, that looks strange falling into the neck there, but no, that's just what it's supposed to do. And you can see when they're doing that VOS and polishing job, it kind of leaves some marks around the neck. That is not uncommon on these. And now we move on to the back side. So this has all the correct aniline dyes in the finish. It makes it like a really dark red, almost a slight purple hue once again. So the modern day historics have a very distinct look to them. Now sometimes they can be a little bit over the top and then they start bleeding into the binding, but thankfully on this one it does not look like it's doing that hardly at all. So that's just a really cool looking cherry back here. But then the back plate of these one pickup customs, this is the only thing I would personally change on these. I wish they would do it Les Paul Jr. style, the smaller oblong one, instead of the full on Les Paul, because then you wouldn't have this. I mean, you just have extra stuff right here. I mean, you could do something fun right there. Like say you wanted to install a fuzz circuit on a push-pull pot, you might have just enough room to throw something like that in here. But you've got your Gibson branded pots right there, the Bumblebee capacitor, it's branded in R8. You've got your grounding wire right there, and your output jack is located at the same location as it normally is. But it's so strange looking in one of these and it just not having holes right here. You can actually feel it. It's all finished over and all that. And you can see just how dark that dye can get. But we do not have a toggle switch route on this one, so that's why we don't have that missing plate. Pretty much the only major blemish I saw on this thing from the factory is right here. There's some scuff marks on the side. Now I think some of that is due to the VOS buffing compound or whatever they put on there. And then this rubs against the case when it's in shipment and it causes those light marks. But other than that, that's pretty much the only blemish I really saw. I mean, a lot of this stuff, it's just in the VOS compound. But you do have your historically correct thin binding in the cutaway on the edge. Then over here you see another one of those rubbing areas. Man, you wouldn't think the finishing on those custom shop cases would be so rough. And I know it looks like a giant gouge from this angle with the light on it, but that's what it looks like in other lighting situations. It's just right on the surface. Moving up the back of the neck here, pretty much the same as what's on the body. It's made of mahogany as well, but you will see that the finish is just a tad bit lighter in here. It's almost kind of like a very subdued burst. As compared to right here being super dark red, it's got a little bit of a yellow tint to it. At the backside of our headstock, we've got the single line, single ring Kluson style tuners, and our serial number up here dating it to 2021, 1958 reissue. And maybe this is another case thing, but I do see a very small impression on the back of the neck right there. As far as Les Pauls go, this is a pretty nice weight, 8 pounds, 4.6 ounces. Obviously, you don't have a pickup in here, the pickup rings, additional screws, toggle switch, that definitely cuts down on some of the weight, so I don't think they used any type of special woods for this one. It's about the right weight as normal. But let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds and how it feels with a wrap tail and no neck pickup. right, let's go ahead and go through the tones of this instrument, starting with the only pickup we've got, the bridge. Now that we know all about this Music Zoo custom order made to measure one pickup Les Paul 1958 reissue, what are my final thoughts on this goofy thing? You know, it might not be the prettiest one pickup guitar that they've ever produced. I think the customs pull it off a little bit better, but this thing, it just screams. Now, I was demoing this one right after playing that Johnny Winter Firebird that we reviewed a while back. So I was having a great time still playing those great riffs, but this is just one magnificent, beautiful piece right here. Like, it's strange, and I like strange, but it feels good. I love not having the neck pickup. I've never been a guy that's like, oh no, it's in the way, I don't like it. I mean, I get it when there's a middle pickup, there's a lot of guys that are like that. But imagine that, but not even having the neck. It's kind of like an acoustic guitar. That's always what I tell people for these, as far as how liberating they are to play. Now, if you could get something crazy like just a P90, then you get even less of a footprint, and I'm sure they could do that for you too if you really wanted to. That would be sweet. Just a full-on Les Paul Jr. style, but with this finish and this kind of top, that'd be cool. So if you've got a crazy made-to-measure custom order idea, I mean, you can check out the Music Zoo. There's also a few other retailers that do it as well. But anyways, I hope you troglodytes enjoyed checking this particular one out. Just as a refresher, this is not for sale. This is a new Guitar Day purchase. It's actually being shipped overseas to a lovely owner who sponsored this episode and wanted to see it on my show first. All right, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.